Alright, this is Jonah chapter 2. So a little refresher of chapter 1. Basically, God told Jonah to go to Nineveh, but Jonah refused and he was trying to run away from God. So we boarded a ship with sailors fleeing to Tarshish, and then God sent the storm, and sailors were freaking out, and Jonah was asleep, and then they cast lots, and lot fell on Jonah, and Jonah said that he was a Hebrew who fears the Lord. And then, Jonah says that they should throw him in the sea and the storm will get calm. Yeah. And so they threw him in the sea, and they prayed, the sailors prayed that God would not let them perish. So, and then they threw Jonah into the sea, and the storm got calm. And then God sent the fish to swallow up Jonah. And thus you get into chapter 2, which takes place inside the fish. So he was there for 3 days and 3 nights. Okay, and then Jonah prayed to the Lord his God from the fish's belly. And he said, I cried to the Lord because of my affliction, and he answered me. Out of the belly of Sheol I cried, and you heard my voice, for you cast me into the deep and into the hearts of the seas. And the floods surrounded me, all your billows and your waves passed over me. And then I said, I have been cast out of your sight, yet I will look again toward your holy temple, and the waters surrounded me, even to my soul. The deep closed around me. Weeds were wrapped around my head. I went down to the moorings of the mountains. The earth with its bars closed behind me forever. Yet you have brought up my life from the pit, O Lord my God. When my soul fainted within me, I remembered the Lord, and my prayer went up to you into your holy temple. And those who regard worthless idols forsake their own mercy. But I will sacrifice to you with the voice of thanksgiving. I will pay what I have vowed. Salvation is of the Lord. And so the Lord spoke to the fish, and it vomited Jonah onto dry land. And that's chapter 2. So here's some of the study notes for it. So basically what you have here is Jonah's prayer inside the fish. And basically in this prayer he's acknowledging God's sovereignty. God being in control of everything and ruling everything. Sorry, the air conditioner just came on. So anyway. Alright. So, and he decided to, submit to his sovereignty. At first he was running away from God, but then, he decides to submit to God's sovereignty. Alright. So I cried out to the Lord because of my affliction, and he answered me. Yeah. So, yep. So, and then out of the belly of Sheol I cried, and you heard my voice. Now this phrase does not indicate that, this phrase does not necessarily indicate that Jonah actually died. Now Sheol is frequently It frequently has a hyperbolic meaning in contexts where it denotes a catastrophic condition near death. So, I guess since he's in the belly of the fish, near death experience, I suppose, but of course he's not dead. So, probably would have died maybe if it wasn't for the fish. Yeah. Because he was like, because I think he was like, because he was probably like sinking as God sent the fish. So I don't know. But anyway, and later Jonah would express praise for his deliverance from the pit. That was in verse 6. So basically speaking of his escape from certain death. Yeah. Alright. You cast me into the seas and into the heart. You cast me into the deep, into the heart of the seas. Describing his watery experience, Jonah acknowledged that his circumstances were a judgment from the Lord, so he knew that God was behind this. Well, really also, in a way, this was even a form of mercy. Yeah, because he actually could have died in the sea, but but God's not done with Jonah, so. Alright. Yeah, dogs barking, sorry. Alright. And then, squeaky toys. Okay. Sorry about all these extra noises, but what can you do? But anyway, so Jonah ran from the Lord's presence, but then he realizes that the Lord had temporarily expelled him, when he says, I've been cast out of your sight. So, yet I will look again to your holy temple. So temple is, where God's dwelling place. So, I guess in a way, So, I guess now he's deciding to not run away anymore, by the sounds of it. So, yep, the water surrounded me even to my soul. Yeah, this describes Jonah's total person, physically and spiritually. Yeah, deep closed around me, weeds wrapped around my head. Yeah, probably actually had maybe some seaweed wrapped around his head, maybe being in the fish. So. And then I went down into the moorings of the mountains, the earth with its bars closed behind me forever. Yet you brought me up my life from the pit. Yep, so seems like probably could have been dead, but no. And then when my soul fainted within me, I remembered the Lord, and my prayer went to you and to your holy temple. So. And then those who regard worthless idols forsake their own mercy. So, those who regard worthless idols. So forsake their own mercy, but I will sacrifice to you with the voice of thanksgiving, and I will pay what I have vowed. Salvation is of the Lord. So Jonah found himself in the same position as yeah, yeah, mariners, offering sacrifices and making vows. Yeah, in light of the first 4 verses in the next chapter. Now Jonah's vow could have well been to carry out God's ministry will for him by preaching to Nineveh. So I guess deciding that he will do what God told him to do originally. So God spoke to the fish and it vomited Jonah onto dry land. So, yep. So even all of creation obeys God. Well, the rest of creation, I should say. So even God, even the fish obeys God. So he has control over everything. So it's a good chapter showing the sovereignty of God. So sovereignty over Jonah and over that fish. Even Jonah acknowledged the sovereignty. So and then also I was looking at a commentary the other night on some of these chapters, and the first chapter I noticed that whenever Jonah told the people the sailors to throw him whenever he tells the sailors to throw him into the sea, remember it said that Jonah was willing to sacrifice himself to save the light of others, to save the lives of others. Now probably so he could avoid ultimately going to Nineveh. So probably selfish motives in offering to selfish motives with him telling the sailors to throw him into the sea. But in a interesting way, that can kind of in a way be a picture of Christ, where Christ, he willingly lays down his life to save others, but he actually does it not out of selfish ambition. So whereas Jonah acted probably selfishly because he did not want to go to Nineveh, so probably rather have died than go to Nineveh. So even though he's actually thankful in this chapter that he didn't die. But Jesus willingly chose to die to save others. And he willingly and obediently submitted to God and did his will, whereas Jonah did not. Well, he would eventually obey, but at this time, not yet. Well, I just thought that was kind of an interesting note. I didn't think about that, till I read about it. So I just wanted to throw that in there. And also that Matthew 12 passage. I mean, Jesus refers to the story of Jonah being in the fish 3 days and 3 nights, referring to the time when he would be in the grave before the resurrection. But Jesus wasn't in the grave for 3 nights. Well, probably the 3 days and 3 nights. It's just a phrase, just referring to just the day in general. Yeah. But 3 days for Jesus being in the tomb after the crucifixion. And then basically, and then God having the fish vomit up Jonah, yeah, thus I guess you can say resurrection. so, so yeah. Alright, well, that's pretty much all of chapter 2, but I just wanted to make a few of these points. Alright, so next time we'll get to chapter 3. Alright.